Marlboro County Special Call Meeting, School Board Special Call Meeting, Monday, November 27th, 2017 is called to order. There's been notification of the news media, and some of them are here. I don't know if Ms. Where is she? Oh, yeah, they are. I was looking for the Marlboro Herald. But there is news media here. And Mr. Coachman, would you please have an invocation for us?
Sure. Let us pray. Gracious and eternal God and Father, Lord God, we ask you just to go with us today, with Heavenly Father, as we go to take care of the business of your district. Thank you, Heavenly Father, for allowing us to watch over our children. I ask you, Heavenly Father, keep each and every one of us board members. Let us put our children and parents and administration safe. Heavenly Father, help us to keep them first, oh Heavenly Father. Let every decision, oh Heavenly Father, be from the heart, oh God, for our children of this county. Bless all the school districts and all the children all over the world today, oh Heavenly Father. No, Heavenly Father, when we call your name for the last time and not able to call your name anymore, give us a home in your kingdom before we can praise and worship your name in a better world. These and all the blessings I do pray. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you, Mr. Coachman. And I need a motion for approval of the agenda.
I make a motion we approve the agenda.
I second.
All in favor, please raise your right hand. And the motion's carried unanimously. Thank you. And next is Dr. Lane's going to present us the list of concerns from the BIS school focus groups.
Thank you, Madam Chairperson and board members. Good evening to all of you. It is my pleasure to share with you the collection of concerns from parents and staff members and other community persons that we were able to garner from having participated in 3 focus groups at Bennisville Intermediate School. And I'm pleased to say that the parents who were present expressed themselves, and they told us how they felt and what they felt would be reasonable solutions to some of the concerns that they have. So if you look on the table in front of you, you will see this packet, and this is the Marlboro County School District Bennisville Intermediate School Parent Focus Group concerns. These are the concerns, and what we've done, we've not altered them, we've not amended them. We're presenting them to you as we receive them from the parents and the teachers and staff at Bennisville Intermediate School. In addition to that, we also want to present to you tonight some requested information. Ms. Ohanishan had asked us to bring some information to this meeting. If you will notice, also in front of you, you will see a sketch of a potential layout for addressing the issues at Bennisville Intermediate School. And in just a few minutes, we're going to ask Dr. McLeod to come forward, and we'll put it on the large screen, and he will share with you exactly what this sketch is indicating. Also in front of you, you will see some options that the curriculum department, curriculum instruction and assessment is sharing with you tonight. Also, we met with the entire senior staff today, and you will see in this yellow folder some options based on, again, based on the concerns and issues that the parents and teachers and others have raised regarding Bennisville Intermediate School. That's in this folder. And last but not least, Mr. Park will also share with you some information regarding finances as requested by Ms. Ohanishan. So at this time, we'll ask Dr. McLeod to come forward and briefly explain to you what this sketch is all about. Dr. McLeod.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board, Dr. Lane.
Good evening.
As soon as Mr. Two gets it up,
Mr. Farr, if you can give us some adjustment to the lights, we'll salute you. He's ready. He's on the spot. Thank you, Mr. Farr.
Okay, what you see is an outline of Bennisville Intermediate. And what Ms. Ohanation asked for was a potential sketch of what it might look like. This particular one was, I talked to Mr. Tim Brown, and Tim in his infinite wisdom sketched out something, then he had it, you can see a better picture of it over here on the easel. But it was basically in the vacant space between where the blue is outlining the green, that would be new classrooms going out that side. Also, cafeteria would be moved to the blank area right where the blue contacts that new wing on the front. Also, they would talk about demolition of the red areas out there. And so that was the, okay. Which one is? In this area is where the cafeteria sketch would be sketched in. In other words, it would end up being a cafetorium in this area right here. This would be a line of classrooms both sides to possibly replace the classrooms that are back here and the back here. And this is that external building that they have out there. And so this is just one sketch that Mr. Brown came up with as to what could be done over there, as opposed to, demoing the entire thing.
So isn't that isn't that the area where the bus comes in?
Yes, ma'am, the bus comes in here, but if this was built up here, then we would, redirect this bus area right here. In other words, this would possibly not be there. So, buses could come in and, circle out here and still come and pick up kids, in this area right here. In other words, with the cafeteria right here, it would be much the same as you have at McCall, where kids go through the cafeteria and load to the bus. So it would be a very similar situation.
And how much would that cost to put that wing over there?
Have no earthly idea. Have no earthly idea. Dr. Lane told me you wanted something free. And so this is what we came up with.
What part of the red are we using now?
The red that we're using now is this and a portion of this that we're actually using.
Classrooms on that side.
I beg your pardon?
There's only 4 classrooms on to the left.
On this side. Yes, ma'am. Only 4 on this
Okay,
side.
basically, that's where the parent coordinator.
Yes, ma'am. And I think, I don't know I think it's the parent coordinator, and I think ISS may be over there.
So what we're talking about in the future.
Yeah, what we're talking about is future, this area right here. In other words, in this, all of the red would be demoed.
So that's not an answer for what we're gonna do with the kids right now.
No, sir.
Okay.
And the red part is what is right now the oldest part of the building, correct?
Yes, sir.
Not,
As well as the gym and the auditorium right here.
So we don't have any money to do this, right, Mr. Park? We'll talk about it, okay.
So, Mr. McLeod, the part right there where the 3 reds at,
Uh-huh,
okay, that's the one you're talking about, take it out.
right.
All right, then in the middle right there, that's where the gym and the other part is right there. of the
Yeah, right
school?
here.
Right.
This is the gym. Old cafeteria is right in there. And this is the auditorium right in here.
So the old cafeteria, is it in good shape?
Not really.
Okay.
In the auditorium.
That's why, do you have that other
and let
sketch?
me point out, excuse me, Mr. Dr. And let me point out, neither is that building in the greatest in the center, because on the see where they have cleaned it several times and the water runs down. You know, so, we're talking about just proposing.
They're asking you to speak into the microphone so they
I'm
can
sorry.
hear you.
Yeah, we're talking about just proposing to
Yeah, but
do
I'm
something
okay.
with that building, and,
Yeah, I wanted it up there.
you know, the whole building really needs to be condemned.
Yeah.
You know, so
On what, tell me what facts
your
make you say that.
Your professionals have the fact. Tim Brown, the person that surveyed the building, that talked about all the money that we spent out trying to clean that building, says that the building is no good.
I haven't heard that from Mr. Brown.
I'm not gonna pull up no facts and all that. The parents, the sick children, all of them, the building is no good. Okay, so I'm just talking about, if we are looking at that building to do some reconstruction, let's just wait a minute and see what other options we have. Because I think that if we possibly can get the referendum to build a new school, that's what we need to do. Putting money on old things does not always work, you know, and even to do the roof, they talking about thousands of dollars just to fix the roof. I mean, you know, I think we need to be looking at something different besides steady throwing good money on a bad situation. That's all I'm saying.
Madam Chair.
Mr. Coachman.
I thought we was here tonight to make a decision on putting our children in a better situation. I think what we're looking at here is talking about the future, and we need to focus on what are we going to do for our children now to put them in a safe environment. I mean, this
Madam Chairman, when you're finished.
and other options we talking about doing, that can be done later, but tonight we need to do what we need to do for our children to put them in a safe environment.
That's not on the agenda tonight.
What's not on the agenda?
Well, wait a
Any
minute.
kind of a vote to,
What are we here for then?
The special call
Why
meeting.
are we here?
if you will look at the agenda, you'll see why we're here.
We just got it tonight.
We received the concerns, but there's no vote. There's nothing about making a decision tonight. We are here primarily for an executive session with grievances and appeals, new hires and resignations. That's
No,
the whole
ma'am.
purpose of the meeting.
No, ma'am, that's not what this meeting was called
Okay.
for.
The meeting was to talk about BIS tonight.
Madam Chair, Madam Chair, you asked Dr. Lane, do I have the floor?
Yes, you do.
Okay. You asked Dr. Lane for this focus group. He gave us this focus group from the parents of these children. Now, that needs to be addressed. It's not on the agenda. I got the agenda tonight. That is not how we should be doing business. And while I have the floor, let me, I'm not finished, Ms. Parson. Over 2 months ago, I took my iPad to the district office because I wasn't getting my emails. No one contacted me, no one said a word. I walked in the building tonight, Mr. Toole says, oh, Ms. Fleming, we're gonna have to order you a new iPad. 2 months has passed, I have not gotten any communication. I don't want any electronic information from the school district anymore. Anything that comes to me, I want it mailed or either a telephone. I don't want your iPad, I don't need it. I don't want anything from you in my personal self. Now, we've had focus groups back in October, and we are approaching December, and children are getting sick, and we are saying tonight we're not going to address this. I think we might need to amend the agenda and address this because this is what parents are here for. Now, this idea about this sketch here, that's all well and good, but that's down the road, way down the road. Children are getting sick, and I live in that area, and I represent those children in that area, and I think we need to address it tonight so we can make some decisions. Now, if you want to ignore them, if you want to ignore the parents, then you do it at your own peril, but I'm not going to be part of that.
Let's clarify something here. This agenda was put out. We have only gotten this information just a few minutes ago. We all deserve the right to have time to review it. And one thing I saw in here is the board was being criticized for not coming. If you'll recall, Dr. Lane asked the board not to come, and if they did choose to come, to keep their mouths shut. He put it nicer than that.
He didn't say
so
that. He wanted us
people-
to come. From what I heard, he said, I want the board to come but not to participate. And
Exactly.
I questioned that because nobody tells me I cannot talk.
Well-
Not Dr. Lane or no one.
News media said you were gonna talk about the school, the BIS school. That's what it said on the news media.
Madam
Well,
Chair.
I don't, I need a gavel, Mr. Toole. First of all, we have an agenda here, and we're going to follow it, because to not follow it violates FOIA, which is Title 30, and it's a state law.
Okay.
And so we are
What
going to
about
proceed with
violating that we got this agenda 10 minutes ago? I got it 10 minutes ago.
Supposed to get it
No one
3
had
days.
an agenda.
72 hours. We got it 10 minutes ago.
That's it. So now, if you want to talk about violating
Did Ms. Pearson
something,
not send it out?
I have, as I told you, I haven't had any communication from the school district in 2 months.
Was this agenda posted?
I have no idea.
I'm asking Dr. Lane, Ms. Fleming.
Yes.
The agenda was posted. This is
Where
the
about?
official agenda.
Where was it
This is
posted?
in the normal places. This is one of the usual brouhaha things that you all pull to try and bully your way through something, and it's the truth.
You want to
Chair.
bully your way
We are
through to
following this agenda.
Miss
Now, we have
Parson.
received the concerns. I need a motion to go into executive session.
Madam Chair.
Madam Chair, you cannot ignore people.
Madam Chair.
Man, we done had our hands up. How you gonna ignore us?
Mr. Coachman.
I specifically made a motion on last board meeting that we come to the table and come back and make a decision to put our children out of that building, and make a decision where we're gonna make a decision put, and it was.
That is
If you
scheduled
follow
for
the
the
meeting-
December meeting, the regular meeting.
No,
We,
no,
a
Madam Chair.
special call meeting tonight, and that's why I'm here.
That's why I'm here too.
Sure, that's why the parents are here, because we made that decision, so to play games and,
This is not
Yeah.
about playing
Yes,
games.
ma'am, it
This
is.
is
It
following
is.
an approved agenda.
it is, you're playing dodgeball here. I mean, we're playing with these kids live, and that's not right.
Did you notice that we just approved the agenda a few minutes ago?
Yeah, that's part of the
Do you
game.
see vote on here anywhere? No. So
Well,
I need a motion to go into.
No, you're not gonna
I am
ignore
not
me, Ms.
going.
Ms. Parson. I have my hand up.
I'm not going into executive session because there's nothing more important than discussing what goes on at Venezuela Intermediate School. So
We have
go-
4 grievances that we need to hear.
and that can happen, but this is, the grievance can wait. Children are getting sick. That is urgency. That demands some attention now, the urgency of now. So if you want to ignore that, I'm not going to be a part of that.
For that.
Pardon me?
Do you have, I mean, people say they're getting sick, but
Oh,
we
well,
have a-
people say they have grievances.
Actually, you know what,
People say they have grievances.
Mr. Woods?
Madam Chair, I don't know where the misunderstanding came up at, but at the regular last board meeting, it was discussed that we were gonna come together, a special call meeting to talk about the BIS situation. And Mr. Coachman did put on about reconfiguration be on the agenda. But I want us to take our time and really understand what's really happening. That we need to understand that these parents and citizens have been coming to the board meeting, making the board know about their children. And we got to learn how to respect these citizens and understand that they are bringing these children, bringing their information to us about these children are getting sick. And the board need to really look at this because I know most of these people in this county. And I don't believe none of them were coming out here complaining about their children are being sick. One parent came and said that the doctor has took her child out of school and have put them on home by because of the school facility. We need to make a decision about what need to be done for the betterment of these children at BIS. And it's a crime that we talk about things, we don't take this stuff serious. Children are literally getting sick, and staff are truly getting sick at this school. And it'll be a crime if this board don't take time to hear and do what we need to do for the betterment of the children to get them out that sick building.
Do
Ms.
you
Parson.
understand that
That ain't what we said at the meeting, Ms. Parson?
the December meeting is 1 week away? And we needed a block of time to hear 4 grievances and appeals.
No, ma'am.
Ms.
We
Parson.
were supposed to come
Okay,
and talk
okay,
about
Ms.
BIS, not those grievances.
Ms. Parson, you had time to bring this plan to us, which means nothing. It's not on the agenda. You had us to watch a video of that. That means nothing. So where is it on the agenda about this plan, what you plan to do there? I don't see it on the agenda.
I didn't even know we were gonna get there.
But you addressed it. You spent time. You had Mr. McLeod to come up and address it. And you talk about all the plans where you want to put the school. Mrs. O'Neill got what she wanted. She wanted that, so we respected her and presented hers. Why can't we listen to the parents?
We've listened to them over and over and over.
And we're not going to, we're going to ignore them tonight.
They can't even speak by policy in a special call meeting.
But you don't tell me about this agenda when this was on there. It's not on the agenda.
Ms. Fleming, I recognized Dr. Lane. He gave us the packet with the concerns. We discussed this, and
No, we didn't.
No,
when
ma'am,
he,
we were supposed to
I
get
beg your
together.
pardon, when he and I worked on the agenda, he was gonna give us this. It would give us a chance to look at it. And then on the December agenda, the plan is to put on there to have a decision.
Dr. Lane, what was your understanding of that?
Okay, I'm looking in here.
No, Ms. Mann, Acting Superintendent, what was your perspective on that? Because my assumption was we was coming here tonight on a special meeting to talk about the parents' concerns from VIS and what we would do with it. That was my understanding. Okay, what was your interpretation of that? Leader.
Thank you, Ms. Wright. My hope and desire is that as we presented, and I trust that you received what we presented, the information from the parents, that you as the collective governing body would receive this information and use this information to make decisions that are best for the children.
How are we gonna make the decisions if we don't talk about it? That's what this meeting was for.
What is this
us to
proposed
talk about.
plan
Madam
here
Chair.
then? I got what is that?
Madam
Why
Chair.
do we have that tonight? The proposed plan, immediate action.
Madam Chair.
Move fifth grade to Clio. I mean, this is in the packet, but we're not gonna talk about it. I mean, this,
And this, Ms. Fleming, I may,
okay.
the senior cabinet met today, and it was my thinking that along with this packet from the parents, that administration would at least provide to you for your consideration also our perspective of what would be educationally sound for the children. So that's what this is.
So why do we have it tonight? We're not supposed to address it tonight? I mean, I got it, and I felt like something I needed to be addressed as well as the proposed plan. I mean, they got plans here, what they want to do sounds pretty good, but we're not supposed to talk about it. But we could talk about, you want to put a roof on a building, so
Let me-
selectively you're going to talk about what you want to talk
Let me make
about.
myself clear. I don't have a problem looking at this, okay? I don't have a problem looking like this. I would like to know what Ms. O'Neill thought is, what you're looking at, what your vision is with it. I don't have a problem looking at this, but I do want to discuss the parent concerns and how we can move forward and what we need to do as far as, are we gonna move the children, are we not gonna move the children? My problem is this, these kids will be testing again. And when they went from primary school to the intermediate school, that was a change for them, okay? And to move them again from the intermediate school to the high school during the Christmas break is gonna be another change for them. They got more testing coming up. So, we need to get together and figure out what we're going to do. We can't do it if we don't talk about it. We got to talk about it. If we wanna do something that's in here, we got to talk about it and come and say, well, yeah, let's do this. We can't just, now we seen these concerns and we heard some of them, but we still got to figure out an action plan. We got to know what we're gonna do.
And this was a selection, kind of a guide here.
Where
What we
is
could
Madam
do.
Chair, one more time.
Hold on just a second.
To the reconfigurations that Dr. Tiller have, do you have those? So we can look at them along with this to see what would be best?
If you could hold on just a second. Mr. Childs, is there any reason why, following the agenda, we can't just kick back and let them just go on as long as they want to go?
What
and
you
get it
mean?
all out.
It's on the agenda. It says BIS.
Yep, and not even worry with the grievances and whatever. I mean, y'all will just go and go and go and go and go. But that's fine. Is there any problem with just
Discussion.
letting it roll and let them go? And if we get to the grievances, we do. If not, we'll schedule another meeting to do that. But we do not have on here to vote. That would be outrageously irresponsible. We haven't even had time to look at this.
We had this in, we had this package. He gave this to us the first.
Madam Chair,
This is the stuff he gave
on the
us first.
agenda, it says
With
concerns
concern in it.
from the benefit intermediate school focus groups. I understand it's a special call meeting and the parents cannot speak,
Right.
but we are their representatives. We can speak for them. And that's why we're here. So Mr. Child is really not needed for this. Am I correct, Mr. Child?
Well, I don't want to say that any board
You don't want to say
member,
that I'm right.
any board member is not correct. What I want to say is the basic rule is that the board, first point, is in charge of its own agenda within the parameters of law. For instance, you can't amend an agenda without some special circumstance and a 2/3 vote of the board. Now, what this agenda, what we've got here is trying to do things in a business-like manner. You've got concerns from the Bennettsville Intermediate School Focus Groups. Dr. Lane has presented those concerns. And as I understood Dr. Lane, he presented them so the board could consider them and think about them. And if we, this board can have a special meeting anytime it wants to.
This is the special meeting.
Well, now, I spoke with Dr. Lane on Tuesday before Thanksgiving, and it was my understanding that this agenda was going to be properly publicized. Was it? It was supposed to be put on the webpage.
It wasn't publicly
and should
publicized.
have been sent to every board member.
I never got it.
So we're not even getting emails.
How many of you did not get?
I didn't get it. I don't have a laptop. Mine had a laptop. I haven't worked since October
I didn't get it.
last year.
I didn't
You did or didn't?
5, 6, you didn't get it either.
Where did you send it? Where did you send the agenda?
I sent the agenda to you, Riggers, and
So only the two of you got it.
And that's all the people you sent it to?
That was the draft agenda. I got a draft. It was a draft agenda from Ms. Pearson.
Well, we shouldn't even be meeting.
Well,
We didn't have an agenda go out.
Then, wait a minute now, Dr. Lane, I think we agreed that the agenda would be properly distributed and noticed. And
Right.
and I
We had a
realize,
conference call about
Okay.
that.
Ms.
Well, as board members, we don't get our on websites. We get emails and notifications on every board meeting in advance.
That's right.
We don't go to websites. They send it directly to us so that we can study and go over. So if only 2 board members received it, only 2 had it. But on another note, these recommendations here, we went through these recommendations for 9 months. Each and everything we have on here, from moving the kids from BSI to the D. Hall High School, option 1, option 2, option 3. We already went through all of these options. We know what option is best for our kids. And I heard you say, Mr. Childs, that it takes a 2/3 vote to do the agenda the way we want to. Did you just say that?
yeah, well.
Okay, let me finish. You just said yeah. I got you to say yeah. Now, hold on a minute.
No,
Hold on.
there are 2 parts to the answer. One is that the board has to find that there are exigent circumstances.
All right, okay, got it.
And
I got that too.
number two is that 2/3 of the board members have to approve it.
Okay, I got
So,
it.
okay.
All right. And with that being said, this is an urgent situation, and we said that we had to move our children. I'd like to make a motion that we amend the agenda so that we can come and vote to do and make a decision what I do with our children on tonight.
I second it.
All right.
All right. I'll go around the room. Mr. Coachman, it was your motion, so you debate first.
Okay.
I have to ask this question: what is the motion? You can't just say I amend the agenda. You have to say what the amendment is. Okay.
The motion is that when we came here, we said we would make a decision tonight so that we
Who
could
said
put
that?
our children in place for the first of the year. We made the decision.
Who is we?
This board, it's we, it's
There
us.
was no vote of that.
Well, the motion is, I make a motion
We
that we
agreed,
vote
we agreed
to
that we
make.
would have a workshop tonight.
No, we ain't agree on no
Yes, it was a
workshop.
workshop to talk about all of the issues.
You don't
That's
twist
what
my
we-
words. I know exactly what I said on last board meeting.
Excuse me. Vanessa, do you have the minutes for the November meeting anywhere?
You made that motion for the December meeting.
I
You
know
said
we
you
don't
wanted
get the
that
minutes
on
till
the
the,
December
till the
agenda.
meeting in December, but I mean,
Yes,
it would be
that's
nice to know if that was done. Yeah, I wasn't here at November meeting, so I don't know, to be honest.
Madam Chair, I have a motion on the floor and a second.
It's an inappropriate motion,
Oh,
so
come
it's.
on.
Come on.
Now, let me explain something real clear to everybody. You are trying to play fast and loose with
And that's what
details
you've done
that
the
Ms.
last
Fleming,
8
you are
years.
out of order.
I don't
Now,
mind being out of
Mr.
order.
Ma'am?
Fleming, Mr. Coachman,
Yes, ma'am.
when I tell you a motion is an inappropriate motion, it doesn't really say anything.
No, it doesn't really mean
You need to
anything.
rephrase the motion.
I'll rephrase it. I would like to make a motion that we amend the agenda and we make a vote on the decision to move our kids out of BIS and take one of these options and make a decision tonight so at the first of the year, we have our children out of that school into a better location.
I second it.
Well, here's how I see it. If we amend the agenda and then they vote, and if they don't prevail in the vote, it's done. And we
No.
go on to the.
Well, it requires, I've said
Two-thirds.
two or three times, first it requires a finding of exigent circumstances. Now, with all due respect, there's a difference between discussing something and taking a significant action tonight. And I thought the first question of the chair was whether you could discuss something. And I'm saying, the board controls its own agenda. Now, obviously, it seems to me the simple way to deal with this is Mr. Coachman has made a motion. If there's a second, then to discuss the motion and then vote.
Yep, there you go. All
Well,
right, is there a second?
I second it.
All in favor, please raise your
No,
right hand.
no,
Oh,
I
I'm
got
sorry,
something I want
debate,
to say.
sorry. Sorry, Mr. Driggers.
Okay.
Mr. Driggers, sorry.
I've
I
seen
thought
you
we was
read.
going in- you
Okay,
said we
whatever.
was going
I
in
order.
Mr. Coach,
Get to me.
go ahead.
I don't want to vote yet.
on this motion that I made, it is a sense of urgency. We need to do something by the first of the year. If we can't come to a decision tonight, we need to come to a decision by next Monday. But we need to discuss it tonight, take one of these plans so we can have in place. Come December 31st, our kids, in the first of the year, our kids be moved out of the school into one of these locations that we have in this plan that Dr. Lane had put before us. We all know that situations, these parents have been crying out. These teachers and administrators in BIS has been crying out. And for us to ignore it, and we to sit here as board members and allow this to happen to these children and to this community and to this county, and we sit back nonchalant like we can wait forever. We can't wait for somebody to die, somebody to get sued. We can't wait. We don't have any money as it is as a school district for this. We're talking about throwing up buildings on top of an old building. When whatever money we need to do, we be putting in something new. If we're gonna put the kids here in the high school, put that money here in the high school. If we got problems here, fix these problems. That's an old building, 65, 66 years old. We replaced two old schools that was 63 years old. Why are we gonna leave a 65-year-old building down there? Same issues that we had at Wallace, same issues in Blenheim, same issues in Bennettsville. We replaced two new schools. We need to move that school, get these kids out of there. It's the same situation. Asbestos, mold, mildew, whatever y'all want to call it. It's a sick building, and the kids don't need to be in there. And the state report said it. When they came down, they said, remove the children. We all read it. We all got the report.
It did not.
You read it. I got it. Every board member here got it. You can say what you want to say. I can read. It said, remove these kids out of that building. I'm through with my.
Nope. Mr. Branch?
Based on the information we got tonight from our Office of Curriculum Instruction and Assessment, they made an immediate action request that we do this during the Christmas holidays, and I'm all for that. There's three other options that they're asking us to consider for next school year. I think that's what we need to go with.
Who was the group?
I guess it's our Office of Curriculum Instruction and Assessment. Can you answer that?
You're not talking about the State Department of
I don't know.
Education.
It's right, it's our local curriculum instruction.
Okay. I like those options. I mean, I would be willing to go with those. And the other three options that we have are things that we can talk about for next school year. I mean, I'll be glad to read this and share it with the, I don't know if everyone here knows about this.
You said you
We haven't had time to look at it.
be a
Ms.
little
Bright?
more specific.
You want me to
Option, I have mine here, but which option are you?
The immediate action that was requested to us is to move the fifth grade students from the Bennettsville Intermediate School to Clive during Christmas break.
Okay.
Also move the fifth and sixth grade self-contained special ed classes to Clive during the break. Allow parents the option of moving their third and fourth graders to Clive after the break. And immediately install new heating and air conditioners in the front part of the building, which would be the only part of the building that would be used. That's the recommendations that were presented to us for immediate action.
Okay, let's go to the next option.
These other options are options that they want us to consider for next school year.
Except for option 3.
First option is move the third and fourth graders to the high school, move the fifth graders to Bennettsville, to Blenheim, and move Blenheim pre-K through fourth grade to Clio.
Option 2.
Option 2, and that first option was for the next school year. Option 2 is leave third and fourth grade classes at Bennettsville Intermediate, move fifth graders to Blenheim, and move Blenheim pre-K through fourth grade to Clio.
And option 3.
Is move all BIS classes to high school.
Now, Madam Chair and members of the board, I was handed an agenda tonight. This is a document that was passed out tonight, right?
Right.
And to the extent, I mean, it's one thing to make a recommendation that something be done by January the 1st. It's another thing to recommend that the board act on that tonight. That clearly is not on your agenda. I mean, if this is an accurate agenda that I have.
Mr.
All due respect, Mr. Charles,
Urgency.
you got several board members that not get agendas.
Urgency.
That's what we're talking about.
This is
I understand what you're saying, but all due respect, a lot of board members did not receive tonight's agenda.
All right, and that is news to me, and I agree with you, that is not good business. Every board member should have had an agenda no later than Tuesday. And if that didn't occur, it's prerogative of the board to adjourn the meeting and schedule a special meeting when you have a proper agenda.
The board, I see a sense of urgency here.
Yeah, hang on, Ms. Funny.
And to be clear, the board can, we can have an emergency meeting tomorrow if the board majority
We are
thinks.
here tonight.
But to follow the law, we need 24 hours notice.
Spare me, please.
Order.
I don't mind. Spare me, please.
Ms. Funny, you're out of order.
I don't mind being out of order.
Yeah, the rest of us want to have some kind of order. Ms. Bright?
Okay, as I said earlier, my first thought was that we was gonna get together tonight and discuss what we could do, what we would do for the children over there at BIS. I don't even, these numbers, this in front of me doesn't tell me how many children this will put at Clio schools, because it seems like all the kids are gonna go to Clio. So do we have enough room to house all these children at Clio? I would like to know that. I would like to see the reconfiguration that Dr. Taylor had, which I know some of it doesn't work now because we had new children come in. So, we have to do a number of analysis with this also, we can't just say we're gonna move those children without knowing how many the school is gonna house and how many will be there when we make this move. That information is not on here.
It'll
So
hold them
I
all.
can't make a decision without the
It'll
information
hold
that
them
I
all.
need.
It'll hold 2,000. They only got 1,200 here.
And how many children will Wallace hold? How many kids can go to Wallace? Because I would prefer Malcolm to go up to Wallace.
Yeah, but
And I'm sure it's some
I think we might-
people with the third grade children that would prefer their children to go there. Why do all of them have to go to Clio?
No, I'm not even looking at, I'm looking at option 3. So option that.
Option 3 is for next school year.
No.
What about this school year?
It should be for this school year.
No, that's for 2018.
That's for 218, 219. You know, I don't have, I want to discuss this tonight. We can discuss and find out how many, what the children would be, how many people would be housed, how many children would be housed, and find out what we can do about it. But I can't vote on this without having the correct information. This doesn't tell me a lot of nothing.
Mr. Driggers?
I agree with you wholeheartedly. We need to have the facts, we need to have the figures before we do any voting. I know what you guys are talking about, and I don't have a problem with it, like Mr. Branch said, but I don't know if Clio can hold all these kids. I don't know if that's the right thing to do. And if we do this proposal, how do we determine which 3rd and 4th grade kids actually go to Clio? Do we have a lottery? There's a lot of things that we've got to consider here. But, you know, and I agree, we need to talk about it, but it doesn't matter, and I may be wrong, but if it's tonight or Monday night, we're still not moving until the Christmas break. So we've got a little time to consider this. We don't have to make a move this minute. I'd like to know another thing too. These focus groups were in October through October the 30th, is what I've seen. Dr. Lane.
Yeah, that is correct.
I would like to know if anything's been done after these focus groups got through. Mr. Brown could address that at some point in time. They can address it tonight and tell me, has anything been done on these concerns? Some of these concerns, you know, have we done anything on these concerns? And if we haven't done anything on these concerns, I'd like to know why we haven't been doing anything on these concerns. So that's another thing that I'd like to know. You know, I'd like to know on that. Again, I'm like Ms. Bright, you know, I don't know how many people can go to Clio because, like I said, we're going to run out of space in Clio, and there's still going to be some kids that can't make it to Clio. So those parents are going to be upset because their kids didn't get into Clio. So we're going to have to do that.
Ms. Barbara, do you know how many children?
I don't have those figures.
Who put this together?
We discussed that in the meeting today, but I don't have the exact figures for those grade levels.
But is there a problem waiting till next Monday to do that? Because I mean, I have no problem putting on the agenda next Monday. Let's discuss it tonight. Tell, like we're doing right now, tell them to bring us figures on how many kids can move to Clio, how much room we've got, what we can do, what's been updated as far as out there at the school, what's the plans for it. Have all that information, because I'll be honest with you, Michael, I can't vote for it tonight because I don't know how many kids can go to Clio, because I don't want to have little Joy make it to Clio and little Susie can't explain that to the parents. I don't see how we can do that. Let's get our figures together and then we can move.
Our figures are already together.
Mr. Coachman, we're going around the table. You had your turn. I'll come back to you later.
The figures are already been done.
Okay, well, I'm not through yet.
Well, okay, all right.
One more quick thing. You're going to have to remember, everybody out there in this audience, you know, whether we add a building, whether we add a whole new school, it's got to be funded. So just remember that now. So I'm sure some of you were complaining this past month when you got that extra $40 on your tax bill for the trash pickup. There's going to be an extra tax money on there. So all I'm saying is we need the school. We need the school, but let's do it as economically as we can. Let's go in and make sure that we do it the best way to suit everybody in Marlboro County as economically as we can. That's all I want to do. I agree with you 110%. What Dr. Cloud brought to us, the red, that needs to be gone. We need to put a new building out there. We need to put something new out there, a new cafeteria, and we need to do that for the kids of Bentonville. But let's do it as economically as we can, and that's all I'd like to say. I'm through.
Ms. Fleming.
Thank you, Ms. Parson. And I'm looking at some of the concerns from the focus group. Headaches, asthma, stomach pain, health issues, bronchitis, breathing, Those are my primary. They inhale this daily, and I would like to see something. I would like to see every child move from that school during the Christmas break. I know it came to us earlier that some could go to Clio, and I agree with Mr. Driggers as well as Ms. Bright. We do not know how many Clio can accommodate, but we know that the high school can accommodate these children. They need to be out of there. It is not. You can't tell people.
I'm asking them to be quiet so that.
If they like what I say, please clap again. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. If the high school can accommodate them, it is not an idea, but it's better than what they are in now. It's better.
Will the high school accommodate the third, fourth, and fifth graders?
The high school can accommodate 2,000 students. They only have 1,100 here. They could accommodate with no problem.
The third, fourth, and fifth graders?
Yes. How many, Mr. Singletary, how many students are enrolled at BIS approximately? 350 and 1,100, you would have room to accommodate them and space left over. Yes, we do. We know that. Am I correct? Anybody at the high school can tell us we had those figures back in the spring of the year, and I remember them. We could accommodate BIS with no problem. It is not ideal, but it's better than what they have now. And I know but this is something, there's nothing more urgent to me than this here. This is the urgency of now. The grievances are important, but sick children, that's the urgency now, and children are having health problems. You can disbelieve it all you want to, but that's your prerogative. I chose, like I said several months back, I believe Mr. Singletary and his staff when they came before this board and told us what was going on there. I believe them. And I believe them then, and I believe them now. The condition hasn't gotten any better.
Mr.
Thank you.
I agree with Mr. Coachman that this is a good time to discuss. I don't think a vote should take place tonight, because I do think that, as Mr. Coachman said, it needs some thought. As Ms. Bright says, we need some facts. As Mr. Drigger says, we need some facts. We don't need a lot of emotion. And what we need to think about is all the things that are involved in moving children. It's not picking up a desk and walking down the hall. It's a lot of things that you got to consider. You've got to consider buses. You've got to consider feeding. You've got to consider, I know that when we talked about moving them to the high school, you've got to, even though it may accommodate them, you've got to change the physical structure of that building to accommodate children this tall, about my size, for their toilet facilities. When we talked about it, I believe the figure was somewhere around $80,000 to renovate the high school D-wing, if I'm not mistaken. Now, I could be wrong.
And I don't mind that, because we spent so much money putting those air-conditioned systems in.
That's close, but we'll save $1.4 million.
What I'm saying is, I'm not talking the money, but what I'm saying is it has to occur. You got a 2-week Christmas break. I don't know I think next year it could be an option if that's what we decide. I think this year the immediate action plan is more of a discussion item and getting the facts than being able to move them. Now, I will tell you this. There's 15 teachers with a letter with their signature on it right now saying they do not want to move. Y'all keep talking about the teachers want this, the teachers, 15 teachers. I don't want to talk to you, I want to talk in this microphone. Now, I'm just telling you
Y'all done lost your mind.
I feel. is all I have to say is I have no problem. If that's what the board votes, then so be it. But these are my concerns. And I think they all need to be considered. And then a vote made, and then we go with it. I don't mind, like you say, I think there's some very valid points in the immediate action plan. But I think, as Ms. Bright says, we need the facts. And we need to look at them. Although we've ignored all the facts so far. Oh, gosh. Yes, Ms. Fleming? Yes. We've ignored the facts so far, except the fact that you interrupt constantly. That's the only fact that we haven't addressed.
That's what I came tonight to do.
I'm sorry, but that's how I see it.
Mr. Woods.
You know, we talking about children, we talking about numbers. Back in last April, we had a meeting where all the staff presented to us numbers. All the numbers. And we took a vote to go out and do the reconfiguration. It was going to save us $1.4 million. All right. Then we came back, the vote was rescinded. Okay? People took the children back to the school. Now we're back here where children are being sick. They've been presented to us. Staff talking about they go all day, they be breaking out, lips being swole. Somewhere down the line, we got to understand we're playing with people's lives. And that it's up to us to make the right decision. We done spent $86,000 out there on a building that when the teachers got back, custodians and teachers had to go out and clean up their room because the people that we hired did not clean up behind themselves. And we got parents and we got people walking through those buildings, understanding, telling us the condition of those buildings. I think we got great people in Marlboro County, and I think we got great parents in Marlboro County. And I think the citizens of Marlboro County along this board could come together and make a better situation for these children. And we had the numbers. The numbers were presented to us last April. We talked about transportation. We talked about who were going where. We voted. We came back and voted and rescinded the vote. Now that's why we're back where we are. We got to make up our mind and move personal agendas out the way and do what's right for these children.
Nation.
And that, my friends, is the question. What is best for these children that we're talking about? Now I want to share some facts with you that we haven't gotten to tonight. The back part of BIS was voted to be D section. In other words, they got a D grade for the condition. However, the front of Bennettsville Intermediate School got a B. Now, the only other building and the only other section in this whole entire district that received a D was, guess what? D Hall in Marlboro County High School. Now, that is a fact. That's in the report several times. Secondarily, yes, this school was built for 2,000. Fortunately, we have a lot more courses in our high school now than we did 30 years ago. I came over here and met with Mr. Farr, walked D Hall. There are only 2 classrooms on D Hall that are not being actively used right now, in addition to all of the other classrooms in the high school. I am concerned that our high school not lose the momentum that it is making. In fact, 2 of those remaining classrooms on D Hall, there are plans for them. He has some exciting plans for that courtyard, for outdoor classrooms for our children. It's a great plan. Now, I have a list of parents who say they do not want their children moved to the high school for whatever reasons. Their reasons are very different. They're very different, but they're very real. So our options are...
You all need to be quiet.
Look, the mold expert says there's no mold. Mr. Brown is here tonight. We haven't had an update.
Please. please be quiet.
We have not heard what has been done. That was a question Mr. Driggers asked. We have not heard that. The cleanup that was done was not mopping and cleaning. The cleanup was to get all of the air conditioning vents and all of the heating vents cleaned out, as well as all of those units that let air in and out. That's been done. Wait a minute.
Please let Ms. Owenation, who has the floor, let her speak, please.
The problem that
I've asked you to let Mrs. Owenation speak.
You know what? Like you said, nobody wants to listen. I asked our superintendent and others to give us some kind of realistic plan because we don't have $30 million to build a new school. It may take us 5 years to get it. Some of you asked about a penny tax. We can't do that until Wallace is paid for. We have a $4 million limit, if I'm correct, Wes, on our funding balance. $4 million, not 25 or 30 million. So I asked him to come up with some type of situation that would remove the 5th and 6th grade buildings, give us a new cafeteria, allow us to repair the 3rd and 4th grade part for a period of time until you all vote to pass a referendum. You know, we had a referendum, it was defeated.
The last two.
Majorly defeated to try to get the money to build it. I'm not trying to argue, I'm just trying to share with you where we are. Realistically, well,
Mr. Child, you want to share with us what you were sharing with everybody else?
let me finish. Can I just finish, please?
I thought you were.
What I'm trying to share with you, any child who's sick will have an option to move to Wallace or to Clio or anywhere else if we have to. Where are we going to put them? Where are we going to put them? Are we really going to put them out here at the high school and displace our high school students?
Ms. Owenation,
I'm sorry, am I talking to
you need to talk to us.
Okay. Okay.
So,
Thank you. You know what?
Let me get that.
What I'm trying to say is we have to have the funding to do anything. If we're limited to $4 million, we need to do something with that constructive if we can. I'm even willing to say, why don't, everybody objects to this report we had. Let's get another report, if we have to do that.
Absolutely not.
If there is not a problem there, then we are overreacting. If there is a problem there, we will move these children if we have to. But we don't need to disrupt them so completely. The plan that the administration is semi-proposing gives us a balance of what we're going to try to do. And that's why we needed to discuss it and read it over and then come back to meet on it. So,
Madam
anyway.
Chair.
If you don't have the money, you have to find a way to make it work. I don't want our children disrupted right before testing and placed in a worse situation than they would be in if we worked around this. So there has to be some reckoning and some reasoning. As Mr. Branch has said, this emergency proposal to move some of the children to Clio, if that's what we choose to do, I don't have a problem with that. However, I'm sure that Mr. Singletary would like to keep his 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders together. I know he would like to do that. I think he would like to do that. I don't want to speak for him, but I know
Let's stop the exchange back and forth from the audience before this is the board's meeting. Are you through, Ms. Owenation? All right. I'm going to say something. I'll recognize you after I get to speak. We have heard a great deal of, we have heard a lot of emotional accounts for a number of months. One of the reasons that we asked to have these things put on paper is so that we could sit down and review them over this period of a week. The week being important because if you get something and it's a month from now that we're going to do it, there's a tendency to put it off. But we have 1 week to review the comments, review any materials that Dr. Lane presented to us so that we could come to the table with rational information. And, were you asking? Okay. Put your hand down, I'll come
I
back to
just
you
want
in
to
a
make sure I
little
get
while.
recognized.
There are 5 things I believe that need to be considered to make this decision well. However we decide it, some people are going to be unhappy, but what we need to come up with is what's best for the kids in the whole scheme of things, their education and so on. They're the concerns of the parents and the teachers and all the people that are weighing in the emotional part. And then there are facts that we need to review from construction people, mechanical people, meaning heating and air conditioning and roofing people and those kinds of things. The scientists, the forensic scientists. If you aren't happy with his review, we can get another one like Ms. O'Nation said. Then there's the financial information. Everybody assumes that we can get the money to just build a new school. There is a rule that you are limited to 8% of the assessed value in a community for that amount of money to build a new school. It's not simple enough like just saying, well, we want this, so we do it. So we have to get financial information, and then we have to consider the ability of the citizens in this county to pay for it. We have a declining population, and businesses are having a very hard time making it here. So there's that piece. And also the availability of space. So let me go back through the concerns, facts, which are construction, mechanical, scientific facts, facts again with financial information, ability of the citizens to pay, and part of that is just their intrinsic ability to pay, and then the 8% ability to pay, and availability of space. And those are the things that we should be making this decision on, not who yells the loudest, who's the most disruptive in meetings, who tries to bully one group or another. This is an intellectual decision that we need to make. And the only reason I can think of for this kind of trying to take over this meeting is to make people make a decision as a knee-jerk reaction without sufficient thought and investigation into the 5 elements that we need to consider. And I don't care how many of you yell and carry on, it comes back down to those things. And with that being said, we have a motion on the floor, and so I guess it's time to call for the question.
I have one more discussion before I call for the question.
All right.
And I had my hand raised.
I'll come to you.
Acknowledge.
Back here a year ago, 9 board members unanimously voted to reconfigure this district and to move all the children. And we had mapped out where it was going to save $1.4 million. Mr. McNeil came to us with the bus routes that was going to even save even more money. I know you don't want to hear this, but Dr. Tiller had it set up where all the classrooms would be in the right area where our kids that coming from BIS would be separated from the high school. They would have separate lunch break. They would have their own playground. Everything was set. Even had the School of Discovery in Blenheim on the bottom floor. They still would keep their name as School of Discovery. We have all the middle school on top floor. 9 board members we unanimously voted for. We all thought it was an awesome idea. 5 board members came and rescinded that vote.
9 didn't vote for it, because I was against it.
Well, 8 out of 9.
No.
Must have been 6 out.
Whatever, it was unanimous. Nobody voted against it. Anyway, what I'm saying is 5 board members came and rescinded that weeks later. Why they rescinded it, I can't tell you. But it was going to save us $1.4 million. In 5 years, that's over $6-7 million right there. That can help toward a new school. What I'm saying tonight, that plan will work. Why don't we just take this time out and come back next month and try to go back to that plan? Everything is in place. Just go back to the documentation and everything the doctor put in place. It's there. We overthinking it. We're trying to come up with all type of ideas. It's already in place for us. Just go back and look at the paperwork. Move forward. Now I'm ready for the question. I know it.
Well, there are other people that wanted to be recognized again. Ms. Bright?
Okay.
Well, you're third. You know.
Okay. what I thought we was gonna do. I didn't know this board meeting was gonna be so formal. I really thought that we was going to discuss what we could do about a possible move during the break. We're not talking about what changes we can make. I can't take this stuff home by myself and look at it and say, oh yeah, this is good. Because when I come back, you're not going to agree with me. You're going to have your own idea of what you think is good. And I think that what we need to do is kind of like push these microphones back and talk about, we even have this that the cabinet members are saying going to work. Push the microphones back and talk about it and see if this is going to work. I mean, we really need to come up with something, but we can't, if we fight and if we can't do it like that. We can't be formal, we got to be informal, and we got to talk amongst each other. Rather we do it out here in an executive session, talk amongst each other and see, will this work? That's what we have to do. Because it's not gonna matter if we go home and we do it next Monday, when we come back it's gonna be the same thing, because we're not gonna have all the information that we need. Okay, we're not going to have the figures. We're not going to have the, what did you say? The technology people. We're not going to have this. We need to see if something on this paper. We need to see if something on this paper will work. Okay, we need to talk about it. We need to push the microphones back and say, hey, will this work? Can we move the 5th graders to BIS? Where's the BIS principal? We need to get her up and ask her. We need to ask Dr. Singletary, what is his vision? What do he think we could do? I mean, we need to get them involved. The principals at least, and talk to them to see if the principal from Clio is saying, yeah, we can hold these students. That's what we need to do. You know, we need to push the microphones back and talk about it. We don't need to be so, because we're not going to ever get anywhere.
Mr. Branch?
When we met on a Friday afternoon at 3 o'clock, the week before Easter break, with all these options, we were told that the state or someone told us that we need to shut that school down immediately. I voted against it because I wanted to see the documentation and study it before I made a decision. Well, it passed, but that's the reason why I voted against it. And I've seen every study that was done on our facilities, from the State Department to the facility study and the Abbeville case. No documentation ever said that we needed to shut that school down immediately. It said we needed to make some changes and some recommendations. I think there was 18 recommendations, but it did not say shut that school down. If it had, I hadn't seen it.
It was not there.
I'm sorry, I got a question. Ms. Barber, have you been out to BIS? Have you seen green stuff? I ain't gonna call it mold. Have you seen green stuff anywhere in that school?
Not inside.
Okay. Have you seen green stuff in that school?
I seen some stuff out there.
Have you seen green stuff in that school?
I saw, black stuff.
Have you seen green stuff in that school? Danny, have you been out there? Have you seen green stuff
I've
in
been
that
out there a
school?
couple of times and I've seen nothing green.
Have you seen green stuff in that school?
I've seen, yeah.
Dr. Singletary, have you seen green stuff in that school at BIS? We're not gonna use the whole word, just green stuff. There's green stuff in the school.
Ms.
School
Parson.
is making people sick.
Ms. Fleming?
Ms. Parson, I listened to you, and I understand when Ms. McNair told us about where we stand in terms of getting money to build a school. I understand all that, and I know that about the economic situation in Marlboro County. But considering the alternate, class action suits, that's scary. The children, this is who, if these children did not come to school, they would need this board. They would not need the principal. They would not need the teachers. Now, in almost no community in this country would people subject their children to the things that these parents are subjecting their children to. I know good and well I would not do it, but that's their choice. Now, we are we walking on some threading on some things that's very dangerous here. Now, and going back, I understand the money because when she came from the McNair Law Firm and explained about how we were in terms of borrowing money. We understand that. We know the last 2 referendums passed because we built Wallace and Blenheim. We know one previous years ago did not pass. We know that we're not in a position right now to do a referendum because our financial situation isn't there, but there is something that the parents, we need to do something. That is what I'm saying. We need to do something, and if there's problems at that school. Now, did either of you attend in the focus group? Did you look at those parents and look at their children? I live among all these wonderful people. They're my neighbors, and I go to church with them, and I see them walking up and down my street. And there's a face to that headache. There's a face to that stomach ache. There's a face to that all these things these children are experiencing. But we're saying, you know, we were told, I was told, and I accepted it as information from the staff, that we can accommodate the children here. Now, Barbara, Mrs. O'Nation, saying we can't. Some way or another, we need to find out. Can we accommodate them or can we not? So this is what I'm saying, that we need to make a decision during the Christmas break to get those children out of that situation, because they are problems there. Now, if none of you went to the focus group, that was your choice. I went. I went, and I see these people all the time. I see these are my neighbors, and these are my friends. And I love their children just like I love mine. But let me tell you, my children wouldn't go into that place out there. They would not do it. I would not do it. You are the ones that grease the wheel, parents. You are the ones, if your children did not go to that school, they wouldn't need a principal. They wouldn't need a board. I would be out of a position here. So the choice is up to you. I know you want the children to go to school. They need to go to school. Homeschooling and homebound is not good. Children need that socialization. But we are saying keep them out there a little bit longer. We won't make a decision. Back in April, we made a decision. Here it is already December, and we're still kicking that can down the road. How much longer? How much longer?
Mr. Driggers?
What I'm hearing you now, and maybe correct me, Michael, if I'm wrong, but I think we're kind of coming to a consensus that we might need a little more information before we vote to move on this proposed agenda or proposed plan. And I don't have a problem with that. I'm all for that. I'd like to have a little more information before I decide to move anybody anywhere. Number 2 thing now, if we're going to consider moving children to the D wing here, then we need to consider moving them to the D wing here and making it a permanent thing. We need to come in, spend our money, make this D wing, upgrade it to where it should be, and make it a permanent thing. That's another thing that we need to consider that we're not throwing out here. So we need to make it a permanent thing. We're going to be spending money coming over here and working on it. So that's something else that we need information on to decide to do. And that's all. That's where I'm at right now.
Well, we'd be saving $1.4 million, so we could afford to do that.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm hearing, and I don't have a problem with that. I can't make that decision tonight. If you call the question and put it to vote, I can't make that decision tonight because I need more information. I don't know about everybody else. I'm just telling you up front, I need more information.
Well,
could you restate the motion?
No, I'll tell you what, since we need more time and we're going to meet next Monday night, I'm going to withdraw that motion and make another motion that we come with a final decision on Monday night.
That was the original plan.
Well,
That's
to
what Mr.
be fair to all board members,
And Dr. Lane and I had discussed.
I want to make sure
on Monday.
that it is on the agenda.
It's already planned to be on the agenda. Yeah.
I'm with Ms. Bright. I think we need to get together with some more people and talk about it. I think we need.
We talked then and we talked for a long
Let me
time.
say what I can say. Why can't we meet a little earlier than our board meeting? Why can't we meet at 5 o'clock and
That's
get some
fine
of
for
these
me.
folks to present some of this information to us so we can have a little more information in a workshop, not something for the public, in a workshop like Mr. Brian.
We already did a
Brian
workshop.
said, where we can talk to each other.
I'm
You
not-
agree to that?
No, I'm not going to do a workshop. I did several, and I have a grandbaby at that school also, and
Well,
I'm just got a little parent. I'm not going to put her back in there.
I'm working on my last year, and have not done a workshop yet since I've been on this board.
Well, we've had several.
We asked for one, but we never could get together. We
We
need one.
called it workshop, but we had the public involved in it, and that's not a workshop. A workshop is when we're sitting around talking.
Well, a workshop is a public meeting.
That's possible.
They just can't,
I just ruled the motion and I put another motion
Finish
on
the
the floor.
statement. A workshop has a workshop has the public involved only in executive session. I'll call you in a minute. The workshop can have an executive session, but a workshop is not a retreat. And you may be asking for a retreat.
No, ma'am, I'm not asking for a retreat.
Okay, all right.
I would like to ask, Ms. Julia Kane if we can ask her, I just want to ask her a couple of questions about Friday.
All right, can we do it after we have the call for the question? Actually, we don't have to vote on your thing. I mean, it's already, we don't have to vote on having it on the agenda. It's already on the agenda.
He took it back.
For Monday. Yeah, that's right. Okay.
So I'd like to
Madam
ask Ms.
Chairman,
Kane something, please.
All right, let me recognize Mr. Woods first, okay? Mr. Woods?
You know, I heard everything that Mr. Drigger said about getting information. And I believe that all of the principals that was involved in that reconfiguration presented stuff to us on that Friday. All the information they shared with us, who can go where, who can do this. I just don't understand how much more information that we need when the principals put it on the board, did a PowerPoint presentation, and each principal from each school came and shared with us how the reconfiguration would work. So how much more information do we need when we got it?
Some of it needed to be cleaned up a little bit.
No, you,
It
Ms.
had some
Parsons, did I interrupt you? I did not interrupt you.
All right.
And I'm saying is, we got the information. It's time for us to trust the administration, the principals, what their presentation to us. They the ones working in the school every day. They staff, they the ones see what's going on. They presented to us on that Friday what the reconfiguration would do, who can go where. Mr. Herbert came and showed us the bus and talked about the transportation. From A to Z, they presented about the reconfiguration that would save this county $1.4 million. So what else do they need to do?
Mr. Norton?
Is this an item that we could discuss in executive session? Is this?
I don't think we need to go into executive session because this no more. We got our.
I'm just asking, based on what Ms. Wright said, I think it's something it would help us with. I'd just like to know.
Well, there's certainly aspects that could be discussed in executive session, but the main issues are public agenda items.
Also, we've been listening to a good bit of what we were told in April. We found out some of that stuff wasn't true.
That's right.
And we've also got two situations in there that the people seem to be living with just fine, that were part of that reconfiguration, and those parents seem to be living with it just fine. So I really feel like we need to concentrate on what we can do for Bennettsville Intermediate School and not go back to that original plan, which is part of it may be now feasible, but I don't know that all of it is, because part of that wasn't true, and we know it. So that's the way I'd like to know.
What's not true?
Can I ask him a question now?
We didn't have to move the alternative school.
Let me say one thing.
We were told we would, but we didn't.
Mr. Driggers?
I want to clarify, Mr. Woods, I was talking about more information on this proposed plan that was presented to us tonight, the immediate action. I'm talking about more information on that, not what was presented to us in April about all that. So I just want to clarify so you know what I was speaking of.
Ain't no problem, but I think we playing game with people's lives, though. That's what we're doing.
Miss Kane, Miss Julia. Good evening. This is only the second time I called you. I want to ask you something, Miss Kane. Had they discussed this with you?
I was called about my numbers in the school, so I was given that information today.
You was given it today?
Yeah.
Okay.
We had talked earlier about one grade level coming to my school previously.
So, what's your take on this? Is it accommodatable? What is your, can you house?
Well, normally, I talk to the district about looking at the building, and we walk through and see how many can be placed there. I don't know exactly what your papers say.
Give me numbers.
I heard tonight what classes you had. I think it was the sixth, the fifth graders.
This says move fifth graders to your school, and move fifth and sixth self-contained to your school.
Okay. And originally, when we talked about the program, it was just the grade level, so we would have to go back and reevaluate because we didn't have a self-contained lab.
So that wasn't in that discussion today.
I mean, I was given the numbers today. I was told how many students were in each class. So we would have to revisit both sides to look at the self-contained situation.
And we're Dr. Farr. Dr. Farr. Mr. Farr. Thank you, Ms. Kane.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. How do you feel about moving our children over there?
What's best for the students. Like Ms. O'Nation came and spoke to me. She wanted to see the D Hall, show the D Hall lab. And then she wanted to visit other rooms and stuff. I told her what's best for all students in Marlboro County School District. So whatever it means for the students of BIS and any students here, what's best for the students.
Okay, so my question to you, what I'm asking you is, do you? No, I'm not trying to put them on the spot. I'm just asking questions. I'm trying to figure out: is it feasible? Is it possible? Can we do this? That's all I'm trying to figure out. I'm not trying to put nobody on the spot.
Whenever y'all decide, if the students have to come over here, we'll make the necessary adjustment at Marlboro County High School.
Okay, how much adjustment? What do you have to do? I mean, I know you got two.
We have to move the students from D Hall to B Hall to C Hall and A Hall.
And the teachers from BIS will go
On D Hall.
over there. So pretty much the way we probably had it configured a few months ago would be the way it will operate.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so.
You already know what you got to do.
You don't. Yeah, that's the question. You already know what has to be done if we.
Whatever direction we are giving at the high school, like my staff know, we adapt, adjust, and overcome.
All right.
All right,
So
well, I'd like
we're
to
not,
ask-
okay,
Madam
Ms.
Chair,
O'Nation?
I'm sorry here, and I don't want
I'm
to.
sorry, Ms. Barber, let me ask you one more question.
Yeah, I think that, can I ask you this question?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you using all of the classrooms at the high school now, except for perhaps 2 where you have storage? Are you using them all?
We using the high school to the best of our ability, but like I said, if BIS have to come over, we have to adapt, adjust, and overcome. When we knew that BIS wasn't coming, then we decided to use all the classrooms. When we knew they wasn't coming, then we decided to use all the classrooms.
And where are our new labs located for the testing?
D Hall.
In D Hall, okay. Those are 3 new labs that have been outfitted? Okay, I just wanted some information.
But if we have to move, then we use A Hall labs for testing.
So it's not a big problem.
So,
Whatever best for the students.
There you go, whatever. You got all the right answers.
Before we stop on this and go to executive session, I'd like to ask someone some questions. For instance, Mr. Brown. Mr. Brown, could you tell us what's been done at Dunnsville Intermediate School?
Madam Chairman, board members, Dr. Lane, excuse me. Can you hear me now? Isn't that what the commercial was?
Can you turn him up?
Is that better? Yeah, can you hear me now? I was asked by Dr. Lane, well, first of all, I was asked by Dr. Lane October 30th, I believe it was. He was having a meeting, one of these meetings with the members of the community.
Focus groups.
Focus group, excuse me. And I wrote him a little memo of what my involvement has been and is ongoing on the Bennettsville Intermediate School. A brief history, if you would. I was contacted by the district concerning the issue with mold that had been reported to the district, and I recommended that an inspection of the building, including testing of the mold, or testing for mold, air quality, water intrusion, as well as HVAC systems be performed by a licensed engineer. That was my recommendation. The district engaged the services of Gel Engineering on May 20th, 2017. On May 29th of 17, Mr. Sharp, certified industrial hygienist, conducted an inspection and testing of BIS. Mr. Sharp presented his findings and recommendations to the Marlboro County School Board at its June 17th meeting. I then recommended, and the board approved, to engage the services of architects and engineers to make inspections and provide a plan for any repairs needed based on Gel Engineering's findings. And we had that done, and we were able to get the building, the HVAC and ductworks and ceilings clean, walls clean, before the children got into school in August. That was the push to get them back in a clean work environment. So the district engaged the services of Mechanical Design Incorporated, that was for the HVAC systems throughout the building, Shepherd and Associates for the roofing, Blackwell Design Services for exterior drainage, and ServPro to do the cleaning. After that, we came up with a plan of how to address the issues that were pointed out by Gel Engineering. Construction is continuing on the above referenced school. This was a memo I sent out today, or Dr. Land, I believe you got it. I dated it today. I believe you got it earlier. Construction is continuing on the above referenced school by addressing all of the recommendations outlined in Gel Engineering study. There are 18 items listed. Items completed to date. Cleaning of the building, including the HVAC units and ductwork, has been performed. Replace all 12 units on the B wing, that's the 5th grade wing, and 4 barred units on the A wing. So in his recommendations, there were several issues concerning those older barred units. So we have now replaced all of those, and including the band room Saturday, and got it operational today.
Could you explain what a barred unit is?
Oh, I'm sorry, that's the HVAC units. They're mounted on the exterior walls of the building, opposed. Now that's on the back portion, or the 1952 model section of the school. The front section was built in 1982. Those units are all on the roof, okay? So those, well, I answered that question. All right. We've installed new thermostats in A and B wings. We've installed dehumidifiers in A and B wings. We've sealed all windows in the upper section of the common wall between the hallway and the classrooms in A and B wings. Removed 12 large trees that were overhanging the roof on the south side of A wing. Graded areas along both sides of A and B wing to allow for positive drainage. Pressure washed the brick walls on both sides of A and B wing. And in progress now is we are continuing to install new barred units. We still have the cafeteria, nursing station, and teacher's lounge on the south side of the building. What I tried to do was make sure we got the rooms where children were going to be done first, basically, is what we did. Mechanical engineers working on specifications for new HVAC units on the front section of the school. The architects are preparing the necessary documents for a new roof system on the front section of the school for bids, third and fourth grade classrooms, administration, and media center. Continue to work on drainage issues as noted in the engineering scope of work. and lighting engineers are designing lighting specifications for bids. We have also, through the committee I was on with Mr. Park and Dr. McLeod and a few others with the district, we applied for and received the Abbeville funding. And based on that funding, it was based on replacing the roof on the 1982 section of the building, as well as the HVAC units on that front section, and also lighting, new lighting throughout that section.
Excuse me, Mr. Brown. So y'all have already targeted what you're going to do with the money from the Abbeville?
Yes, sir. That's how we got the grant. We had to fill out the forms.
And that's, well, I wasn't aware. That's why
Okay.
what's to fill the grant out just for that's what we got approved the grant for the Abbeville case to put the roof on the school out there.
Partially the roof, the HVAC, and the lighting. Yes, sir.
So that money was basically earmarked for that.
Yes, sir. That's how the process worked. You
How
had
much
to
is that money?
earmark. It was $1 million.
So,
I mean, I thought the board was aware of that.
they were. I was not.
Well, we wasn't aware of where the money was going. We knew we would get the money.
Mm-hmm.
I specifically asked Mr. Parks to come up one day and ask him how much were we getting, but to say what we were going to use it for, this is news to me. Thank you very much.
Well, I mean, I'm here just to serve y'all. I'm trying to tell you what we've done and where we are and why we were doing this.
Did anything come before the board to approve this money? I mean, there is such a thing as RFP.
Hang on a second.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Brown has the floor.
We have some
Finish.
questions.
Y'all are trying to divert him from stating what's been done. And,
We've heard this 10 times.
well, I want to hear it.
But
Would you continue, Mr. Brown?
Ms. Parson, he has spent money that they had. It is the policy of this board, a certain dollar amount that's being spent should come before the board so we can approve. Now, has that happened?
Yes.
The
board voted to
Was it one of the meetings
recommendations.
you stormed out of?
I mean,
I made the recommendations, the board voted on it. I'm not out here as a loose cannon just doing
I'm just
something on my
asking.
own.
I mean, this is news
No,
to me. So the Abbeville money is spent, in other words.
No, the Abbeville is not spent. We're talking about two different pools now. We're talking about what you approved for me to do was hire these engineers and come up with a plan and get that building where we could put the children in a safe, clean work environment, and that's what we've attempted to do.
I mean, the price, the bid come before the board to say, okay, we've gotten this company and they're gonna charge us $40,000, $10,000. Those are the questions that that's news to me. Were these decisions made without the board?
That I cannot answer. I didn't come to every one of your board meetings. I only came to the ones when I was directed to do what I've done. I mean,
Madam Chair, I can answer part of that. The board,
No.
Yes,
No. I don't.
Assuming you don't have the
No,
floor.
I don't want to hear your answer. Please don't give me your answer. If there is it is our policy, a certain dollar amount that's being spent, it should come before the board. If that has not happened, I want to know why. I don't need your explanation, Mr. Chuck. I don't want it.
Madam Chair, I'm addressing my remarks to the board chair and the board.
Yes.
This board adopted a motion authorizing Mr. Brown in consultation with Wes Parks and the acting superintendent and various people to proceed to address the deficiencies or the recommendations that Mr. Sharp had made. I was trying to find the motion. I can't put my hands on it this minute, but I will certainly locate it and have it emailed to board members tomorrow.
Thank you. If you'd continue.
Yes, ma'am. Well, to follow up, what we were trying to do was what we did was try to get that school clean so we could get the children in and then get these units put in as quick as we could. Now, we were slow in that because there was a couple hurricanes and all the barred units went to Texas and someplace, Louisiana or someplace. So we got a little delayed. But since June, we've gotten the kids in, we've gotten all those HVAC units at the back of the building put in. I was asked to come up with a plan, and I think we might have got off track, maybe presenting that ahead of schedule, or the cart before the horse, if you would. That plan was simply to show that we could demolish those old section of the building, and we could use the 1982 or the newer section with a new addition of a cafetorium and a wing to house the fifth graders. That's all that was. It's a concept. It's not etched in stone. I didn't want to engage an engineer because I was told we couldn't spend any money. But I did that just to show you that it can. You have the property, you have the infrastructure there. And what I would recommend to the board at this time is to hire another air quality engineer. Okay, okay. Well, I'm basing it on the facts that what the test showed and what we addressed. We addressed things that, to start with, the test did not show that there was any reason to move the children.
One question, let me ask just one question.
Yes, ma'am.
I did not get a copy of the report from Mr. Sharp, but I remember his presentation. He said, did he say there was mold in the school? Is there anything in his report that says those remarks, mold was found, spores was found in the school?
Oh, yes, ma'am.
Okay, so that's my question. There was mold in the school.
Sure was.
And we understand
there's mold in this school.
We understand the acceptable level. They probably in my house too. I know there's an acceptable level of mold. I understand that. What
Yes,
I am
ma'am.
saying is
I'm
that
not arguing.
I know.
Ms. Levin,
Okay,
I'm sorry.
that's what I want to
apologize.
say. A certain level of mold is acceptable. I understand that.
The air quality has levels that are set by the EPA.
I understand. Right.
Yes, ma'am. And
So-
that's in his report.
But he did say there was, okay. That's all I wanted. That's all I wanted to hear. Along with, I understand. I
No,
appreciate that.
he says that the airborne cladosporium mold spores concentration inside the building ranging from less than 78 spores per cubic meter to 470 spores per cubic meter were less than the average airborne cladosporium mold spores concentrated measured outside. There was 2,080 spores per cubic meter of air outside where we send our children to play at lunchtime. Okay? So, as a controlled reference, the airborne mold spores concentrated inside the building range from less than 1% to 23% of the average airborne cladosporium mold spores concentrated outside.
So basically, he was saying it was safe.
He says, he goes on, his conclusion after this, but he did find mold, but he found it on the air returns where it was crusted fibers and dust and dirt for years. That's where that was found. Okay? Based upon jail's visual inspection testing, no current conditions exist that warrant the evacuation, removal, or transfer of faculty or students from Bennettsville Intermediate School due to the presence of microbial hazards. Now, he goes on to list 18 different things that you should do. And that's what we've been concentrating on. Now, I'm just saying that you've got a baseline from a scientist that tested and says your air quality is here. Since we've done all this work, why don't we just have another test? They're not expensive to do air quality tests and then see where we are today, because I don't think that it's a lot better, in my opinion, than it was. Any building would be.
Thank you, Mr. Brown.
Thank you.
All right, could I have, please, a motion to go into executive session for grievances and appeals, new hires, and resignations?
So moved, Madam Chairman.
Hang on just a second.
May I make sure I have Mr. Coachman's agenda item next Monday? We want to make sure that we have on the agenda.
We've already put it on there.
Right, I just want to make sure I've got it on.
Oh, yeah, for the, okay.
And decided vote needed.
Huh?
Yeah.
Vote needed.
Okay.
Yeah, we
Yes.
talked about this Tuesday, and that was the plan for Monday night. All right, now, you are making a motion for me, please.
Yes. Madam Chairman, I move that we go into executive session to discuss grievances, hires, and resignations,
And appeals.
and appeals.
Yes. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, please raise your right hand. It's unanimous, and so we're going to executive session. Thank you very much. Yeah, I will. Motion to go back into open session.
So moved.
Is there a second? All in favor, raise your right hand. Motion's carried unanimously. No action was taken, no decision was made. Let's see, on the grievances, Ms. O'Nation, will you make a motion, please?
Madam Chairman, I move that the board accept the recommendations of our acting superintendent regarding grievances 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 as modified.
Is there a second?
A second.
Madam Chair, just want to say, number 2, I'm not in favor.
Madam
So
Chair,
do you
no-
want to make an amendment, or do you want to just vote against it?
Separate number 2 and vote on it.
All right, then make an amendment.
I'd like to make an amendment that we put make number 2 separate.
All right, is there a second?
I second.
All in favor, please raise your right hand. All right, now we vote on the amendment. All in favor of the amendment, as stated by Mr. Coachman, it's like smoke and mirrors, but we can't say names. Please raise your right hand.
Voting on the amendment.
Yes,
Okay.
All right, all opposed to the amendment. And the
Motion.
Motion is carried with the
Amendment.
with Amendment 2. With item 2. Now, the main motion, all in favor of the motion? Are we keeping this straight?
Motion on number 2.
No,
All but two.
Barbers.
all
Okay.
but 2.
Voting on
Yeah,
Barbara's, right.
yeah. Then, all in favor of 1, 3, and 4, and 5, please raise your right hand. And no, there's no one opposed. She's left. All right. I'm going to shake it up tonight.
Go ahead.
Mr. Branch, would you like to?
You got to vote on number 2.
Oh, right, okay. All in favor of number 2?
You're asking, are we in favor of the superintendent's recommendation on number 2?
Yes.
That's what
Yes,
that's
yes.
what the motion is.
Yes,
All right.
all right,
Superintendent's recommendation.
that's right.
Okay.
All in favor of the superintendent's recommendation? 1, 2, 3, 4. All opposed? 1, 2, 3. So the motion is carried in favor of the superintendent's recommendation. Now, Mr. Branch, would you please make a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion, we adjourn.
A second. All in favor, please raise your right hand.